Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week, and if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. For today, my love affair with crochet accessories continues, this time in the form of a new headband, but this time with double twists for some textured cable goodness. Speaking of, whether if you're a fan of cables, crochet accessories, or both, you are in the right place. We have hundreds of modern crochet tutorials and patterns, including many with cables, and a slowly growing collection of accessories, dropping twice weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now, it's time to get on the show, so without further ado, for this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 50 grams of yarn. That's 115 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us if you have any plans for the weekend. I am actually going to be picking out and watching the Super Bowl. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows: chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and treble crochet. This tutorial is made for a size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this headband started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 5mm hook and start off by making a chain of 8 for every size. Now that we have our chain, we're all going to block off that last chain and do a chain 2. That chain 2 does not count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then prepare for our first row, which is a half double crochet row. So yarn over once, and insert your hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook with a half double crochet. So pull through for 3 loops on our hook, then yarn over and pull through all 3. From here, continue with 1 half double crochet into every chain. Our first row is complete. Now everyone's even number row is going to be a single crochet row. So chain 1, flip our work, and put 1 single crochet into every stitch. Let's do the next one together. Insert your hook into that next stitch, pull through 2, and continue with 1 single crochet into every stitch. Everyone's row 2 is now complete. Let's get started on row 3, or our first cable stitch row. So chain 2 and flip your work. Now when it comes to doing our cable stitch rows, every cable stitch row is going to be worked into our previous odd number row. So since we're working on row 3, we're going to be inserting our hook into row 1. So we're all going to start with a front post treble crochet. So yarn over twice. Into the first stitch from our row 1, making sure that we are not counting that chain 2, we're going to bring our hook down underneath the body of that half double crochet and through the other side. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through. And from here, we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we all have 1 loop left on our hook. So pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is our first front post treble crochet. Now from here, we're going to yarn over twice again. Taking a look at our row 1, we are going to skip that following stitch and then put 1 front post treble crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So like I said, skip 1, into the next stitch, insert with your first front post treble, into the next with your following front post treble, and once we have that, we have to work on the twist portion. So 1 front post treble into that skipped stitch. So we're going to hang on to our working yarn, bring our hook back, and underneath that stitch with a front post treble. Now that is our first twist. We're going to be doing another twist right next to it that is going to be done exactly the same way. So yarn over twice. Skip that following stitch from our previous odd number row. Into that next stitch. Insert with 1 front post treble, into that following stitch, which is now the second to last stitch, with another front post treble, And now to complete this twist, one front post treble into that stitch that we skipped over. So yarn over twice, bring our hook down into that skip stitch with another front post treble. And now to complete this row, it's going to be a front post treble crochet again, but we do need to combine it with a half double crochet to secure everything down. So yarn over twice. Into the last stitch from our previous odd number row, we're going to bring our hook down underneath that stitch and pull through. Then from here, we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 2 loops left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Once we have these 2 loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the last stitch from our previous row. Yarn over, pull through for a total of 4 loops on our hook. Then yarn over and pull through all 4. And now our row 3 is complete. Now, like I said in one of our previous clips, every even number row is going to be a single crochet row. So chain 1, flip our work, and then put 1 single crochet into every stitch. So our single crochet row is complete. Now let's get started on the following row. So chain 2 and flip. So for the length of this headband, it's actually just going to be a repeat of rows 3 and 4 until we get the total length of the headband that we need. So I'm just going to get started on the following row repeat with you guys just to make sure we all have it down. So our first stitch is always going to be worked into our previous odd number row, and it's always going to be a front post treble crochet. So yarn over twice. Underneath the first stitch from our previous odd number row, we're going to bring our hook underneath, pull through, and yarn over and pull through 2 till we have 1 loop left on our hook. Then just to do the first twist, we're going to yarn over twice again, skip over that following stitch, and into that next stitch with 1 front post treble, into that following with another front post treble, then to finish up the twist, 1 front post treble into that stitch that we skipped over. And that's it. Right after this first twist, do a second twist that is done exactly the same way, and then the last stitch of every cable stitch row is going to be a front post treble combined with a half double, so the same way that we finished off the previous cable stitch row. And that's it. From here, we're just going to continue to repeat, like I said, rows 3 and 4 until we get a cable stitch band that can wrap around the entirety of our head. Now I'll meet you back right after we finish up a cable stitch row so we can seam it all together and then get started on the rest. We are back. The total length of my cable stitch detail is complete. I have a total of 67 rows. My length is roughly 18 inches or 46 centimeters. Now we're going to fold our work in half to seam it together. We just need to make sure that the cable stitch detail is along the inside so that once we wear it, our seam is along the inside. Once when it's folded in half, we're going to be inserting our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Now from here, we're all going to be doing a single crochet seam. So once our hook is in through both corners, we're going to yarn over and pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. And all we're going to do is find that first stitch into the front panel, insert your hook, next stitch into the back panel, insert your hook, and we're going to single crochet around everything. Doing that again, find that next stitch into the front panel, insert, next stitch into the back panel, insert, and single crochet around everything, and that's it. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. So now that our seam is complete, right there, we're now going to get started on our side panels, and it's going to start with a single crochet. So we're going to be single crocheting along the edge of our cable stitch detail. We are going to be alternating between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row, starting with 2 single crochets. So right after we finished our seam, we're going to make sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, and we're going to chain 1. So starting with our first side row, this is mine right here, I'm going to find that top loop and insert with 2 single crochets. So there's 1, same top loop with 2. This is my next side row, which is a side single crochet row. So find that top loop and insert with 1. That's it. Let's do this again. This is my next side row. Find that top loop, insert with 2 singles. My next top loop right here, insert with 1 single, and that's it. We're going to continue on with a single crochet row, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more side rows left to work into, slip stitch into that chain space. And just as a really quick tip, this single crochet row is going to be as wide as this portion can stretch. So once we've made our way all the way around and slip stitch into that chain space, try our piece on, making sure that the single crochet row isn't too tight. If it is, go ahead and redo some stitches with a looser grip, or if it's too loose, redo some stitches with a tighter grip. We are back. Our single crochet row is complete. Everything is fitting nicely, so we're going to get started on our following row, which is going to be a half double crochet row. So right after we have slip stitched into that chain space, what we're going to do is chain 2. Now from here, simply put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. So yarn over into that first stitch with a half double crochet, and that's it. We're going to continue with 1 half double crochet into every stitch, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. So we made our way all the way around with our half double crochet row. Now we're going to close off the row by slip stitching it into that second chain that we made when we got started on this row. So we're all going to start by counting up 1, counting up 2. Into that second chain, we're going to insert with a slip stitch. Now that slip stitch doesn't actually count as a stitch, that's just to connect everything. And now from here, we're going to get started on the band. So once we have this, we're all going to make a chain the length that we'd like for the band to be. I'd like for mine to be roughly an inch or 0.5 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 3. Now once we have our chain, we're all going to block off that last chain and do a chain 1. Now that chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're all going to insert with a slip stitch, so bring your hook down into that chain. When we have these 2 loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops gently, and now our slip stitch is complete. Let's do that again until we reach the end of the row. Into that next chain, insert, yarn over, gently pull through everything, and once more, for me, into that next chain, yarn over, pull through everything. Continue with 1 slip stitch into every chain, remembering not to tug too tightly after every stitch, otherwise the following row will be a little too tight to work into until we reach the base. But once we have reached the base, what we're going to do is slip stitch into that next available stitch into the base so that we can connect it. So just finding that next stitch, we're going to insert, yarn over, pull through everything with a slip stitch. Now that slip stitch doesn't actually count as a stitch, that's just to connect our row 1. Then we need to work our way up to our row 2. So into that next available stitch into the base, insert in through there with a slip stitch as well. That slip stitch also doesn't count as a stitch, and flip our work. Now from here, 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Now making sure we're not working into any of those slip stitches into the base, we're all going to find that last stitch from our previous row and insert in through that back loop only, or the loop that's furthest away from us. Then yarn over, pull through everything on our hook. Again, into that next stitch's back loop, yarn over, pull through everything. Once more, into that next stitch's back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch until we reach the end of the row. Once we do, chain 1, flip our work, make your way back down with more back loop slip stitches to reach the base. We are back. We now have our first 3 rows completed, and now we're going to connect it into the base together again. It will be done the same way as our previous row, so as a refresher, finding that next stitch into the base, insert with a slip stitch to connect this row. That slip stitch into the base doesn't count as a stitch. Then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that next stitch into the base, still doesn't count as a stitch. Flip our work and then repeat, so 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch, and that's it. From here, we're going to continue to repeat our 2 previous rows until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, I'll meet you back so we can seam it all together. So we are back. We made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitch rows. Now we're ready to seam it all together. So making sure that our work is flipped right side up, we're going to be inserting our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We are going to yarn over and pull through everything on our hook. And now from here, we're going to do our outside loop slip stitch seam. So just to do one together, we're all going to start by finding that first stitch into the front panel and insert only in through that front loop. Next, we're going to find that next stitch into the back panel and insert only in through that back loop. And when we have all 3 of those loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. That's it. Continue on with this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain of 1 and cut. And now that we have finished up seaming our band, we're actually going to repeat everything we did here on the other side. So just making sure that our work is flipped right side up. Start with our single crochet row, half double crochet row, and then our same band that we did on this side. Once when that seam is all finished up, do a chain of 1 and cut, and then I will meet you back. And there you have it. Hope y'all enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you on the next one. Bye!